Welcome back to Naruto Anime Review. This is part 3 of the Naruto Anime Review. Now, in this one, I'm going to be talking about seasons 3 and 4. I decided not to do 5. I want to save that for the next one. These two seasons are basically heavily focused on the character Ashima, which it's revealed in episode 2 or 3, I don't know which one it was, that he is in fact the uncle. He's Konohamaru's uncle and the son, the third Hokage. And of course, his last name is Sarutobi. Basically, season 3. This is the season that they gave this particular character a bunch of character development. They had developed this character so much that I was surprised at the character development that they gave this one particular character. A character who is not seen very much in the show, especially since his team is seeing a lot more than he is. And the fact the guy constantly smokes, and it's revealed in flashbacks that he had been smoking for years, despite the fact that this would normally kill him. But yeah, he had been smoking a lot, and of course also that people have been hinting at for a while that him and Koronai are a couple. Despite the fact they tried to deny this, they tried not to. Heck, there's one episode where I think this is in season I definitely think this is season 3, where Ashima is in Ino's flower shop and he's getting flowers, and then she says to him when he's leaving, he says, "Say hi to Koronai Sensei for me." Yeah, he's like stumbling, like, oh. Yeah, he's like embarrassed the fact that they know, and then somehow Choji and Shikamaru knew that him and Koronai are basically a couple, and it is so hilarious the fact that he tries to publicly deny the fact that him and Koronai are a couple, despite the fact, yeah, everybody knows. They're terrible at keeping a secret. I thought this was hilarious when they did this, and of course it's revealed later on in season 4, which I'll get to, that she is in fact pregnant with his child. Yeah, he gets her pregnant. Yep. Plus, it's also revealed in season 3 that he was part of the Shinobi 12, the Guardian Shinobi 12 of the Land of Fire. That's what that sash he wears around his waist. Yeah, that is actually revealed to be something he was once part of years prior to the start of the show. Which I'm thinking, okay, that's actually quite interesting. As for his smoking habit, he did that just to sort of get back at his father. That's really the reason why he smoked, just to get back at him. He still smokes. Heck, there's at one point, Koronai tells him to give it up, because at one point he was smoking much more than he usually does. Because a lot of time when you see Ashima, he usually has a cigarette in his mouth. And sometimes you might see it smoking, sometimes you might not see it smoking. It's just typical Ashima of how he's normally portrayed and how he's normally depicted as a guy who smokes. He is by far the only person in the show, he's actually one of 2 people in the show who are humans, by the way, because Chief Toad also smokes as well. And of course, Gamatachi smokes as well. This is revealed later on. He's smoking a cigarette when he's in basically with the size of his father. That you don't see many characters smoke in the show. Now, the third Hokage smoked. He usually was smoking a pipe, not a cigarette. Ashima was known for smoking cigarettes a lot. So, yeah. So, that's very typical of him. And the fact he was a rebellious son. He was very rebellious when he was much younger. So, yeah. And also, at the start of season 3, he, well, not only Revelation, basically, he asked Naruto, Sakura, and Sai to spend some time with Team 10. And it's so, and they go to a barbecue place. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Well, they love going to having barbecue, so why not? And basically, Sai decides to try to call, because he likes to insult people. He tried to call Choji Fatso, And they'd say stop them in time because don't call him that because he'll get ticked off. And I think he calls Shikamaru an idiot. I think he does. I'm not really sure. But when he talks to Ino, he says, "Hello, beautiful." And Ino falls in love with him on the instant. And Sakura, who he had called ugly, basically because he called Ino beautiful, she basically beat the crap out of him off screen. It pretty much destroyed their table. I thought this was so hilarious. The fact that he calls Sakura ugly and calls Ino beautiful is just so hilarious. And the fact Ino basically falls in love with him in an instant, though it takes a few years before they start dating. Yeah, they don't start officially dating until season 21. But I thought that was really nice of him to do. I mean, yeah, Ino's attracted to Sai. So what? Yeah, and it's later shown in the jutsu of Sai and Sakura and Sasuke fighting over her. This is revealed in the jutsu in season 20, which I'll get to season 20 soon. But I just thought this was so hilarious. And also at the start of the season, Naruto's been having nightmares about the Nine-Tailed Fox attacking the Fire Temple. No, he doesn't know it's the Fire Temple yet until he goes there a little bit later on. But yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Now, the first few episodes of Season 3 are in fact canon. The rest of the season is filler. But good filler. Now, that's the thing when it comes to Naruto. Now, basically at times when it comes to the show, both this one and the first one, there's an occasional bad filler. Now, with this season, there is no bad filler. This is not a bad filler set of episodes. Now, this takes up pretty much a majority of this season when it comes to basically the filler episodes, but they're good, and the filler episodes do provide character development for Ashima, which I do praise them for doing that, which later revealed why in the next season why they decided to do that. Now, pretty much now when they go to the temple, because they're sent there to investigate some grave robberies, excuse me, yeah, they're sent there to investigate grave robberies, and then when of course, one of the graves they go to, basically, Naruto meets Sora, who basically is also wind chakra user. Yeah, because basically in this season they reveal there's many forms of chakra, and it's also in the season that Naruto is a wind chakra user, which is making, that's not bad. And he goes through some training, and he wants to basically learn some special technique when it comes to wind chakra training, and it turns out there's not many wind chakra users in the Naruto universe. Not that many. I mean, I know Tamari. Anybody can tell she's a wind chakra user because basically the way she waves her fan. Conqueror, I'm not really sure what type of chakra user he is. Gaara is Earth. Is an Earth chakra user. Basically because he uses sand, so Earth. But I'm not really sure about Conqueror. I'm not really sure about him. Basically, how to reveal that Naruto is a wind chakra user is by holding a piece of paper. Now, these are special paper basically made from a tree that's infused with chakra. The whole point of the paper is to simply point out exactly what type of chakra user that they are. If they are a wind chakra user, the paper will split in half. If they're earth, the paper will disintegrate. Water, the paper will get wet. Fire, I believe it will burn to a crisp. And lightning will pretty much vaporize it. But since he's a wind chakra user, the paper splits down the middle. Now the way he does this is by basically heavily focusing his chakra, basically this paper, and it reveals basically he's a wind chakra user. And basically the first step, now basically the reason why that Kakashi is teaching him this is so that he learns a new jutsu. And also, they also revealed that the Shadow Clones actually have memories. And they can retain knowledge. So, Naruto and Kakashi decided to form Shadow Clones. And they decided to go walk off, do whatever. And they decided to have a conversation. And what did these two Shadow Clones do? They decided to play rock, paper, scissors. And Naruto made a bet that the loser buys Orochi, gets to buy, if Kakashi loses, he gets to buy him the ramen he likes for lunch. Yeah. Now the originals don't know anything about this at all. Naruto wins, and Kakashi has to buy him lunch. And of course they release the Shadow Clones, and Naruto is like smiling, like, yeah. Yeah, and Kakashi tells him about he tells Kakashi about the bet that the Shadow Clones made while they play rock paper scissors, and Kakashi's like, why the heck would he make that bet? Yeah, it is so funny, and so they basically train with a leaf, just to try to split in half, and they try to focus for a while, and one of the Shadow Clones, and this is revealed to be Shadow Clone a little bit later, is there any wind chakra users in the village? And he says, does he know of wind chakra? He does know of one, and it's Ashima. Ashima is a wind chakra user, which I'm thinking, that's not bad. And basically, he practiced with him using his wind chakra, his chakra blades, which I have seen nunchucks basically in movies that look like this, where they look like you just slip them on like you do brass knuckles, and they usually sometimes have a blade attached to them. I have seen stuff like this before. I've never actually held them before, but these type of weapons do in fact exist in real life. So I do praise them for actually giving them. Now these blades have been seen early on in the original Naruto show, so we had a pretty good. Now that was early established. Now we don't know what type of blades these were. These were something that Ashima himself only carried, and basically he would use his own chakra to influence these blades, and then basically if he throws them, they go through stuff. Now Naruto practiced for a while with this, and he agrees to train him when it comes to using the wind chakra this, if he agrees to buy Team 10 lunch, basically buy barbecue lunch from their last mission. And Naruto's like, okay, fine. Despite the fact that we nearly bankrupted because of how much Choji eats. Yeah, because Choji eats a lot when he goes out to the barbecue. Yeah, it's just so hilarious. Yeah, so he trains him, and they don't know, and until he decides to disappear. It's like, yeah, that's enough. And he's like, yeah, and and Shikamaru's like, you didn't know that was a Shadow Clone? Yeah, I thought that was so good. The fact that, and because he was finally able to split the leaf, and then of course later on they went to the Fire Temple after that. Now when Naruto sees the Fire Temple, he's like, I've seen this before. In a dream. It's like he instantly recognizes the Fire Temple as soon as he sees it. He knows exactly what it is. Well, he doesn't know it's called the Fire Temple. He just seen the building before in his dreams. Which is later revealed later on to be a memory from the character Sora. It's a guy, by the way. Despite the fact whenever I hear the name Sora, I usually think of a girl. But yeah, like the name like Sam, it could be either a guy or a girl. That's just the way that that's just the way things are. It's very typical of stuff like this. Like the name like Nikki can be either a name for a guy or a girl. Alex is pretty much just my brother, whose name is Alex. It's the same thing with him. It can also be a name for a guy or a girl. For a girl, it's usually Alexandra. For a guy, it's usually Alexander or Alejandro. That's the Spanish name for Alexander. But yeah, I thought I'd throw through a few examples. So, and of course, Sora finds Naruto annoying, which sometimes the characters do find him annoying, which is very typical of how Naruto is usually written. And they usually train for a while, and they have a brief sparring, and of course there's these 5 people basically sort of watching everything, and these guys are basically responsible for everything. And pretty much now the 4 tombs that have been raided are actually the people who actually died years prior during a coup d'etat, when the other half of the fire shinobi the guardian shinobi, half of them basically decided to rebel against the Fire Lord, the feudal lord, the lord of the land of fire. The other half basically stood by his side. So yeah, half of them got killed, and Ashima was the only survivor of that. Excuse me. And apparently Sora's father, who was also a member of the Fire Guardian Shinobi, he was part of them too, but it's later on revealed he was actually the one instigating the coup d'etat. And of course, the bad guy basically had a scar across his face. It's later explained that Ashima was the one who gave that to him. And of course, this big bad turned out to be Sora's actual father, who he thought had been dead for years. And he didn't like how basically the other monks in his temple basically talked about his father. They basically talked with him disgust. And apparently Sora basically was getting the same treatment that Naruto was getting. And apparently, this is really weird. Apparently it's explained that the bad guy, apparently it basically was giving Sora a copy of the Nine-Tails Chakra. Apparently how he got it, it's explained that after Nine-Tailed Fox was defeated, a lot of his chakra was left behind in the Hidden Lake Village. So, what did he decide to do? He decided to scoop it all up and put in Sora's body. Though it didn't activate until he was 10. Which caused a lot of destruction at the Fire Village, at the Fire Temple. Yeah. Which, okay, that's interesting. Now, this is basically, this group, the guy's group, is basically comprised of I think it's 2 girls, 2 women, and 2 guys. It's basically like 4 or 5 people. And one of whom I'll get to in a minute. Now, it's basically Team Kakashi going after these people. And this is, at this point, it's Yamato was their captain. So they had to follow his orders. And this is the 3rd season we get a chance to see a mission with them. And they're basically trapped in this labyrinth. And Sai and Sakura basically, and Sora's with him as well. And they're taking on these 5 people. These 4 people anyways. Sai is basically set upon one of the 2 women. The one who, like him, can do the ninja beast, the ninja art beast scroll thing, where she can kind of do the same thing, except she can build have actual big labyrinths in a way. Now the other one I'm just about to get to, of course, Sakura basically is going after one of the big guys of the group, along with Sora. As for the other woman, she is one of the most bizarre female villains I have ever seen. Basically, she runs into Naruto. And the first thing she does to him, as soon as she meets up with him, she decides to lick his cheek. And he's like, "Why'd you do that for?" And she's like, how do you take it? French? Or the other way? And he's like, "You wanted to make out with me?" That's not exactly his. It's exactly his words. He's like shocked that this woman wants to make out with him, and she eventually does. Though it's a shadow clone, and she's like, He's like, soft lips. It was so bizarre, and she's like, "You never been kissed before?" He's like, "Yeah, I have, but it was by accident." And of course they show that stupid flashback from episode 3 of season 1 of the original Naruto show, when Sasuke and Naruto accidentally kissed. This was by far the dumbest moment of the whole series. And of course later on in the filler they do pretty much the same thing. It's really bizarre. It's something that Sasuke and Naruto never talk about because it's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to them. And they're fighting back and forth, and eventually she does make out with him, and she's like taking his chakra, and all of a sudden she basically gets this other chakra. She's like, "What the heck is that?" And the whole time she's wanted to do that. And then of course they later get away. Of course Naruto meets up with her later in the Leaf Village, where she does pretty much the same thing. Except it's revealed that she's more concerned with her hair being damaged than her actual body. And then pretty much the body is destroyed. Then basically all the stuff of her is her hair. Then she uses her Sharingan just pretty much vaporize her. Yeah. Because she wants his wind chakra so badly. And I'm like, okay. And this is quite bizarre for Naruto. Um, why is it that any female woman wants to, any evil woman that's in the show really wants to kill him or at least do something to him so badly? Yeah, it's one of the most bizarre things that's happened to Naruto. Yeah, why is it evil woman wants to do something bad to him and yet none of the, yeah, where they do these strange things to him. And he doesn't encounter many female villains in the show, but this is the only one who actually wanted to make out with him. Yeah, and this was really bizarre. But yeah, and of course also the guy also performs some sort of a version of the reanimation jutsu when he revives the 4 people who were killed. This of course later on when they get back to Leaf Village, and and pretty much they defeat the 4 dead shinobi. Of course, one of them actually gets defeated. It's like guys like okay, they defeated one of my guys. I guess like we can't destroy the Leaf Village, so we'll just go with Plan B. Having Sora turn into a version of the Nine-Tailed Fox. Because, yes, he has a version of the Nine-Tailed Fox inside of him. He has a version of the chakra. And, excuse me, Naruto's Nine-Tailed Fox is reacting to him. And he gets what he's going through. And, of course, he reveals that basically when he's in that form, he's hurt Jiraiya and Sakura. And I'm kind of like, Ino... Now, when the thing shows Ino, because Sakura and Ino are good friends, I'm surprised she doesn't get an angry reaction on her face at all. She's like, there's like no emotion to that at all. I'm surprised she doesn't go up to him afterwards and smack him across the head for hitting Sakura. But that never happens at all. He doesn't get any punishment from Ino for hitting Sakura. Though it was by complete accident because he was not in control. Though I think she might agree with that. But at least most of everybody knows that people that he knows, his personal friends, do know that he's the host of Nine-Tailed Fox, and they don't have a problem with it at all. As far as I know, most everybody does. But yeah, that's how it is. And of course, Naruto does defeat. Of course, Ashima takes out the guy who's in charge of everything. Yeah, he does kill him. But yeah. And of course, Naruto, it basically takes all the chakra from Sora, the Nine-Tailed Fox's chakra from him, basically put it back into himself. Probably giving Kurama probably more power. But Kurama, his name was not revealed until much later. But yeah. Season 3 was a pretty interesting season, to say the least. And of course, Sora goes off on his own various travels. Then comes Season 4. The season where the reason why Ashima got all that character development. Which I'll get to that in a minute. Basically, Ashima is sent out on a mission. Now, at the start of the season, the Fire Temple is attacked. Well, basically, the season starts out with Hazon and... I don't remember this other guy's name. The guy who was known for using string. And apparently is sort of semi-immortal. He does later come back as a reanimation jutsu later on during the 4th Great Ninja War. And they pretty much attack the Fire Temple, killing almost everybody. And they take the guy who was apparently in charge of the temple. They kill him. They do some damage to him, but... Yeah, and apparently the reason why they went to the Fire Temple was to collect a bounty. Yeah, and at the start of the season, they pretty much they were fighting the Yagato, I think her name is. She was the host of Two-Tailed Cat. Yeah, and this was of course the stuff with Koronai and Ashima basically getting up there. And of course, there's also one point, a couple times, where Ashima sort of spies on Koronai while she's watering her plants. Yeah. That's simply the way it is when it comes to her. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah. Then, of course, Team 10 decides to go after Hazon and his companion for what they did at the Fire Temple. First, they go to the Fire Temple, figure out what the heck is going on up there. Find out what's going on. They have a prayer just to go out there. And Ashima doesn't have a problem with the prayer at all because he was once part of this temple. And Team 10, they don't have a really big problem with it per se. They're like, okay, fine, you can do a prayer. While Ashima's all for it, Team 10 is a bit hesitant at this because they're not as religious as he was, or at least connected to his temple as he was. But they're not disrespectful, which I do praise the writer for basically not making them disrespectful. They're just like, okay, we'll do this prayer, and we'll go find them. They do the prayer, and they go find them. At a bounty collection office. Yeah, so they deliver the monk there, and they, of course, Hazan gets paid. Well, Hazan's partner gets paid. Well, and apparently this is a weird thing. Apparently this collection office is basically the way they enter. First they go into the men's room, and then apparently there's a secret panel next to the urinals, and apparently behind the urinals is basically where the bounty collection office is. I'm like, okay. It's one of the most bizarre concepts I've ever seen when they have these collection offices. Of all places, behind a bathroom. Yeah, this is so really bizarre. And, of course, Hazan's partner is very greedy, and, of course, Hazan is very religious. The only reason why he agreed to work with him because he figured, though, religion can make him money. And then, of course, they confront Team 10 and, of course, a few other Leaf Shinobi. And while Hazan's taking out Ashima, everyone else is just, well, standing around, while the other two have been sort of briefly injured. But Hazan, if you see the guy carries around, looks like a staff probably used by the Grim Reaper, except it has 3 blades on it. And apparently, if he gets contact with anybody with that blade, he cuts them. Doesn't do much to them at all, just a minor scrape. But he somehow drinks the blood and it turns his skin into almost like a see-through skeleton in a way. And he performs this ritual where apparently he takes out this pole and he sort of starts stabbing himself. And apparently this is what causes basically Ashima's death. This frequent stabbing. And of course, Shikamaru tries to use the Shadow Possession Jutsu to sort of stop him, but too late, basically, and of course Ashima is dying. So they take him up into the roof of the collection office, while they're immediately called back because they apparently captured, they're about to perform the ritual to basically, they're basically recalled by the Akatsuki, the leader of the Akatsuki Pain. He recalls them, and they have no choice but to leave them alone. So Ashima basically is dying on the roof, and he gives them their last words. Basically, he asks Ino to keep an eye on Shikamaru and Choji. He asks Choji to make sure his kindness pretty much stays, and of course he asks Shikamaru to look after Koronai and his and Koronai's child, and also become the child's teacher. This is revealed a little bit later after Ashima dies that Koronai herself is pregnant. And then, of course, after that, they have, of course, while all this is going on, Naruto is at the village, basically going through a second step of his training, with a gigantic waterfall created by Yamato. Yeah, basically, it's explained that his wood jutsu is actually a combination of 2 different jutsu, earth and water. So he creates a gigantic waterfall for, apparently, he wants him to train to use how to change his chakra, basically using shadow clones to sort of try to stop the waterfall. And they try to do this many times. It takes a while, and while this is going on, Sakura decides to make some food pills. Very bad food pills. Heck, even Sai basically points out these food pills are gross. These food pills are so bad. Even Sakura's like, oh no, they're not bad. And then she tries them. Yeah, they're bad. Yeah, it's really bizarre. So, and of course they had to temporarily stop the training because Ashima had just died. And of course, everybody's still watching Naruto. While everybody's like, well, Tsunade is watching Naruto during his training. Sakura and Sai are watching him. Not many people are watching him. I don't think Hinata watches him either. I don't think so. It's not shown if she's watching him throughout this whole training because she's known for watching him a lot whenever he trains. So yeah. I don't think Naruto himself, despite the fact he was told that Hinata had been watching while he'd been training, I don't think he has a really big problem with it at all. Because my personal, despite the fact he doesn't say anything to Hinata about it, my theory is that he personally doesn't have a problem with her watching him while he's training, because it sort of gives her inspiration to get stronger. He doesn't mind being inspiration to his friends. Like, basically while he was gone during the 3-year journey, they all trained to get stronger. Every one of them. Like, pretty much the 10 of them, because, well, Sasuke is gone, Sai had not been brought into Team Kakashi yet, so the 10 of them decided to get stronger while he's away. And he doesn't mind being an inspiration to his friends. As a matter of fact, that's what being a friend is for, basically being an inspiration to them. And having Hinata get stronger, basically having her also be a better person, and have her learn the actual abilities as basically known for her clan, like the Gentle Fist and the Trigram thing, was really smart. It pays off later on in Season 8. But I'll get to Season 8 soon. But, yeah. And of course, after Ashima's death, of course, while Naruto does complete his training, while Team Ashima goes out because their sensei had been killed, so they decided to go out sort of in the middle of the night. They get packed up and just go out without Tsunade's permission, and they head to the gate, and Tsunade is somehow waiting there, and she doesn't want him to go, but they really want to go and go kill Hassan. They want to go avenge their sensei's death. And then Kakashi shows up completely out of nowhere. He has the intention to do this. And he volunteers to be their captain while they go out there under Tsunade's permission. And Tsunade has really got no choice but to allow this. At least they have a Jonin to go with them. Despite the fact they're all Chunin, having Kakashi go with them is not a bad idea. And heck, he refers to them as Team Ashima. He doesn't change the name of the team to Team Kakashi, like the way they did with his team, when he was injured, they changed it to Team Yamato. He doesn't do that because him and Ashima are old friends. This is, of course, revealed in later seasons that him and Ashima are old friends. So they go out and they find these two, and of course they're battling. And of course, Tsunade has Sakura tell Naruto to hurry up with his training so he can go out and help Team 10. He does complete his training, while Team 10 is taking care of, well, most of them anyways, are taking care of Heizan's partner, who it turns out basically is so old he apparently had a battle with the first Hokage, and apparently also he had 5 hearts. Yeah, and of course when Kakashi stabbed him, apparently it destroyed one of his hearts. Okay. And while Shikamaru basically took Heizan, basically took him off to his family's woods to sort of take him on and basically put a bunch of paper bombs all over the place, make sure he doesn't go anyplace. And Heizan himself basically, he has no problem with Shikamaru coming after him and try to avenge his sensei's death. He does not have a problem with it at all. He welcomes it. Because the guy basically is obsessed with pain. I am not kidding. Also, apparently, prior to this, apparently he had lost his head. Shikamaru had, I think it was Ashima who apparently had cut off his head, and he basically lost his necklace, and so Heizan decided to sew on his head back on, and then of course later on somehow he picked up his headband and pretty much had him put it back around his neck to cover up the stitching. Yeah. So Shikamaru basically, this is of course prior to that, so Shikamaru takes him out in the woods, battles him for a while, and basically, apparently he got his hand, okay, Dad, so Apparently, while Kakashi had stabbed Heizan's partner, apparently he took a sample of the guy's DNA, gave it to Shikamaru to use in his battle with Heizan, take him off to the other woods, and of course Heizan thinks he sliced at Shikamaru, but it turns out basically he drank his partner's blood. Yeah, not kidding. And when he stabbed himself, his partner was like, "What's this? I got hurt," and he got rid of one of his hearts. And he did not know until a little bit later on, like, yeah, while I have my hand inside of your body, I took a sample of your DNA. And of course, also, they do destroy one of his other hearts. But then, of course, Team Yamato shows up while Shikamaru is taking on Heizan. And of course, Naruto uses the Rasengan Shuriken. A very powerful... Okay, Dad. Jesus Christ. Yeah. So, apparently during training, he used it a couple times. So, he tried to use it a couple times as well. Apparently, the thing doesn't last too long. So, yeah. So, after using it after failing the first time, he tries to do it again. He does. And he pretty much kills Heizan's partner. While Shikamaru pretty much takes out Heizan by simply, well, detonating, blowing a hole in the ground, dropping Heizan there, where he basically apparently blew himself up too. Where apparently he fell into pieces, and he got buried alive by the deer in the area, basically, because Shikamaru reveals that apparently his family are the only ones allowed to be in these particular woods. Yep. I'm like, how the heck did he know that? How the heck did he know that these particular woods belong to his family? Yeah, apparently his family has a thing for deer. Yeah. So, while he tries to sort of throw Ashima's lighter, which he kept, by the way, along with his chakra blades, he basically threw it and all the paper bombs detonated and all this stuff like that. Apparently the thing had been partially buried in the ground. After Heizan had been defeated, one of the deer decided to dig up, basically somehow he knew it was there. He used his hoof to dig it up, and it turns out, bam, it's Ashima's lighter. So Shikamaru picks it up and just walks away, and it turns out he did really kill him, and of course everybody goes back to see how Naruto's doing with Heizan's partner. And of course he does get defeated. But apparently the guy is still alive, so Kakashi decides to kill him on the spot. And they take his body back to the village. But apparently because of Naruto using that particular move 4 times, his arm is damaged. But it is going to heal. He's basically in a body. He's basically in an arm cast. So he's kind of told, basically, don't use that move again. Otherwise, though, you will lose all contact with your chakra. And he kind of understands that. Though, of course, he later reuses it when he goes into Sage Mode later on in Season 8. But, yeah. He understands that he can't use that move again. But he can still get more training. Yeah, he understands perfectly fine. And, of course, Jiraiya basically volunteers to give him a little bit more training. But, yeah. Seasons 3 and 4 are pretty interesting seasons. You can call seasons 3 and 4 the Ashima Sarutobi seasons because, well, you get a chance to see the guy's growth as a character in season 3, and you get a chance to see him die and see his students avenge his death. So yeah, 2 really good seasons of the show. All right, so that's it for part 3, part 4, 5, and 6. Okay, but until then, I will see you there. Bye.